town of Mount Pleasant is set to vote on a resolution about beach parking on state-owned roads. Today, I talk one-on-one with Mount Pleasant Councilman Gary Santos for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Councilman Gary Santos, welcome back to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Oh, that's right, Quintin. Your congratulations on the award, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. It is January, what is it, January 10th today. What is the state of the town of Mount Pleasant?
I tell you, I don't think the state of town of Mount Pleasant could be any better. We have so many good things going on in Mount Pleasant right now that affects, the whole community, and we're so excited. And a lot of it's going to happen this year. We have funding for a lot of it, and so you're going to start seeing a lot of things going on. And I'm very happy to be able to explain it to you.
Speaking of funding, does the town of Mount Pleasant have enough money to improve its stormwater system in your mind?
We do now, yes, absolutely. I guess you know that they raised taxes. The mayor had brought it up to raise taxes to be able to afford doing some of this work, and it passed. I think myself and Jake Rambo were the only ones that voted against it because of certain reasons, but it passed. So we do now have it, and it looks like that's going to get underway this year as well. So it's going to be great for the people who are having issues with their flooding.
And I know the town expects to incur expenditures with this. What are those expenditures right now, projection-wise?
It's really hard to say because we've got to really look at all the flooding areas and then evaluate it. So it's hard to put it on a number on it, to be honest with you. But what's happened is down in those areas like the old village, people have come in, knocked down the old houses and built these big houses, and they have a lot of impervious surfaces now, so that when it rains, the water just shifts down the street, and it's caused a lot of issues there. So there's got to be a lot of work done. They're going to have to put in a lot of piping, so they're going to be tearing up a lot of driveways to try and do this work. So it's going to be substantial work. So I can't even imagine at the end of the day what that cost is going to be, but it'll be substantial.
And when do we expect to see that work happen?
Well, they're already in the phase right now of they're researching it, and they're trying to find out the cost of what it's going to be, because it's extensive and it's a lot of work to be done. So we're working with the state, and we're working with the powers that be, the consultants, to try and come up with that number. But it's going to be a long road. Right now, if you go down to the old village, you'll see them working right out in front of the pharmacy there.
Right.
So we're already starting to work on some of it, but it's going to be a substantial endeavor, and it'll, at the end of the day, I think it's going to help those folks down there tremendously.
Now, when you think of that stormwater system, who are the bidders?
Well, we don't have any bidders yet. We haven't gone out for bids yet to see who's going to do it. We just now are going to get the funding. We're in the final phase of working on the funding. So that's going to be on council's agenda this Tuesday, and you'll see that. But anyway, it's going to be millions of dollars for sure. I mean, it's going to be, but it's worth it. The citizens down there need relief, and I think this is going to give them the relief they need.
And what will be the single fixed rate of interest when it comes to this money for the stormwater system?
Well, that's a good question. I can't tell you that right now, because I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. The finances have not been settled yet, so we'll find that out. I think if you come to the council meeting on Tuesday, you'll get a lot of that information.
Will I be able to see the mayor?
Yes, I hope so. Yeah.
He unfollowed me off of Twitter.
Oh.
After the last interview.
Oh.
But it's my job to ask you all the tough questions.
Y'all, and you know what? You do, and you do it in a great way. So, listen, that's why we're here. That's why I always come here, because I try and answer questions. And if I don't have the answer, I'll be honest with you and tell you. But I try and answer the questions. I mean, we're elected to be able to share our thoughts and ideas with the public, and which I'm going to be doing in a second. And that's what we need to do. And like I said, if you can't answer it, then say you can't answer it. You'll get the information and come back to you.
That's all.
That's what people want to hear.
That's all.
Yeah.
I still like them. And what exactly will we expect from council in 2021?
I tell you, we got a lot of good things going on. I'll start with our waterfront park.
Sure.
Waterfront Park Phase 3. We're getting ready to start that this year. Our first responders monument will be the first thing we're going to do. We've got that approved. They've already got it designed. And so now they're starting to work on the implementation of it, which will be the first thing, like I said. and it's going to be great because it's going to honor our first responders. You know, the ladies and gentlemen who rush in while everybody else is rushing out. It'll give us a good opportunity to honor them. Recently in church this morning, I had someone from a 501c3 came up and talked to me and said they were looking at trying to donate a flagpole and a flag to something, and I said, well, the first responders monument would be a perfect place to do it, so we may have that at the monument as well. So there's a lot of good things happening on that side. On the other side, phase 3, we're going to be building two basketball courts, and they'll be linked together so that we can do pickleball, volleyball, tennis. They can use it for exercise and like yoga and stuff like that. And around the sides, what I wanted them to do, the edges, is to have it such that we can do roller skating. And so a lot of kids want to roller skate. We have a lot of people who live here that would love to roller skate. When I was a kid, we used to do it over at the Theater by the Sea on Sullivan's Island, and it was packed. So we'd like to do that. We have a splash pad and hopefully put colors in there so that when the lights come up, they're different colors, and it'd be fun while they're out there roller skating with music going on, and you got colored lights and stuff. We're going to do bocce courts. We're going to have bocce courts there. We're going to have a dog park, and the dog park will be underneath the bridge where it's shaded, and we'll have water for them. And we'll have like a little asphalt track going around where the parking will be, so that citizens that don't want to go do the bridge will still have a place to be able to walk around. We're going to have bathrooms there. We'll have a place for our public services folks to put their equipment, to keep it. So it's going to be a great place, and the best part about it is we have the funding for it. So we're moving on, and it's going to be a great place to be able to come down and spend a day, at the park.
You talk about funding. Do you have parking funding for the town of Mount Pleasant when it comes to the Memorial Waterfront Park?
Yes, we already have about $5.2 million in the bank that we're ready to spend on it.
To spend on what?
On all of those things I just talked about.
And how do you hope to generate more money with parking?
Well, we're talking about that right now because parking is definitely going to be an issue. We worry about people over there on the other side of the park parking there and then working all day long and taking up parking. So we're looking at ways of being able to monitor that and to charge for that, whether it's going to be electronic means like being able to scan their license plates to make sure that they've paid, or have maybe a kiosk out there where they can pay and put the little thing like they do in Isle of Palms on their windshield. So we're working on that right now. I think the best way is going to be the electronic way, where people can sign up and pay online, and then a policeman can ride by and scan the license plates to make sure everybody's parking. It'll be free for our citizens, or we'll allow X amount of hours on there so that people aren't parking there, leaving their cars there all day long, but maybe a couple of hours so they can go down and fish, or run the bridge, or play basketball, or do things like that. So this is all, we're working on this right now. We haven't come up with any specific ideas right yet, but we have some good ideas that we're looking at trying to do to make sure that the park is available to everybody.
When it comes to municipalities in the Charleston area, which ones are you comparing and contrasting when it comes to parking like this?
I don't think anybody's doing that right now. I think the Isle of Palms has the kiosk. Sullivan's Island doesn't have anything. So I think by us doing it electronically, where people can sign on online, pay online, and then the officer being able to ride by and just scan the plates, I think it's going to be a benefit for everybody, because a lot of people now, they only want to work online, they only want to go on the computer, which is great. And then if people want to be able to use the kiosk, then there should be at least one of them out there for them to be able to use. So I think we're trying to make it as easy as possible on everybody who wants to be able to come out there and join our park.
Yeah, and how much would the kiosk cost the town of Mount Pleasant?
We've done some research. It's not that much. I can't remember the exact amount of money, but it's really not that much to do. If you had multiple ones, then it would cost a little bit more. But if you have just one down there, I think most of the people nowadays, they want to be able to do things electronically with their phones, and yes, I think they'll do it electronically, and that way it'll be a lot easier on them and our police staff on monitoring who's paying and who's not paying.
Will you all, with the additional money that you're coming in as far as revenue, will you be able to hire more officers to make certain parking's okay down there? Well,
we already have a substation down there. We already have an officer that patrols that area, so I don't know that we would need to have somebody extra. He could ride through a couple times a day. He or she could ride through a couple times a day and do the scanning. He wouldn't even have to get out the car. So I think I don't think it's going to cost hardly anything, if anything.
And we're sitting right here in the park in downtown Charleston, miles away from the town of Mount Pleasant. But I'm sure you have some good news about parks coming to the town of Mount Pleasant.
Absolutely, we got our phase 3 that's coming. I told you about the first responders monument,
right?
But we're going to have on phase 3 of the park, which is going to be across the street where the dirt parking is now. We're going to have build 2 basketball courts on one big piece of cement, so that we can use that to also do pickleball, volleyball, tennis. They can use it for exercise and like yoga in the morning. We see people out there now, they're having to put their mats in the dirt. Well, they'll be able to do it on the cement.
Right.
And then around the edges of it, a friend of mine, Jillian, came up with an idea about putting on roller skating. And so we would look at, having an area around the sides of that where people could roller skate at night. And you'd have the splash pad out there with the water coming up, and we put colored lights in there. So it'd be kind of cool to have, especially in the wintertime, the splash pad with colored lights coming up and people rollerblading with music out there or roller skating. It kind of reminds you of the Bellagio.
Yes.
So, and not only that, but we'll have a dog park, and we're going to do that underneath the bridge, so it'll be shaded for the dogs, and we'll have water out there for them, and we'll do bocce courts, and there'll be so many things out there that we're going to be able to do. It's going to be something for everybody. 7 or 8 different workout stations where you can work out before you run the bridge or after you run the bridge. It's really going to be a great addition to our park system, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I know something else you're looking forward to when it comes to running is obviously a half marathon.
Half marathon, yes sir, and we got that coming up in May. And so now in Mount Pleasant, we back in when I first got elected, started the Old Village Harbor 5K run.
Right.
So that's a 5K, and so that's just a short run. A lot of kids do it. And then you have the Cooper River Bridge run, which is a 10K. And so now we're going to put on a half marathon, which will allow our distance runners now to have a place to run. So we'll do it at our Park West facility, and they'll run through Park West, Carolina Park, and then finish back at our Park West facility. So we're trying to offer something to everybody, and give everybody an opportunity to try and go out there and do whatever skills that they have, whether it's long distance running or short distance running, and be able to participate in some events for the town. So I'm trying to get something for everybody, and we're being able to do that now.
I understand. And you talk about offers and obviously services, and obviously you talk about your time on council. What do you have to offer if you want to run for mayor of the town of Mount Pleasant one day?
What do I have to offer? Well, 20 years experience as a council member. You can look at my record. It's all a matter of it's on the record. So I love my town, and I love being able to give back. I love being able to do some things like getting that park. In 1999, I wrote DOT and just asked them, what are you going to do with this land? And they said, I don't know, send us a letter. So I sent a letter, and next thing you know, we have a beautiful waterfront park out there. And so, recreation-wise, I've started a lot of programs. We built that $1.2 million track out in the northern part of town. Now we have College of Charleston wanting to partner up with us to put rubber on the track at our town hall track. So we're going to have 2 rubber tracks in the town on either side of town that people can use. Just starting a lot of programs for the kids and for the adults. And not only that, but other things, the code of conduct ordinance and different things that I've done that's been really a benefit to the town. So I think people can look back on my history and see that I've worked, all 20 years while I've been on council, and I think that will help them make a decision on whether or not they think that I've been able to do enough to be able to be elected to that an honored seat, being on as a mayor. But I'm not sure that I'm going to run. I'm just saying that it it's an opportunity for me to continue on what I've always been doing for the last 20 years.
And I hate to pivot just a little bit, but I just thought about it in my mind. Let me go to Tupelo. Obviously, there's some issues there with obviously roads and traffic. What infrastructure do you all have in place to fix that?
Well, it's tough. The growth boundary line, as you go out, you're supposed to have like 3 homes per acre as you're inside the town, and as you go out, it should be 3 acres per home. And so you're supposed to get less dense as you go out. And unfortunately, with Tupelo, as they came in, council voted to even allow them to have a car dealership out there, and so I was against that. I was thinking it needs to stay more rural. And the thing is, I think now what the previous council did was the developer came and said, we had told him you could only have 4,000 square foot buildings, for businesses, which means small businesses, a dentist or, things like that out there, so people don't have to travel to go to, they could have it. But unfortunately, council agreed to allow them to have 16,000 square foot buildings, which means it's a lot bigger, you're going to have more congestion and things like that. So hopefully it won't be as bad, because now the car dealership's not going to be able to go there, I think, because of the wetlands. So that's a benefit, I think, that end up happening there. But for me, I think it should remain more rural as you get towards the outer parts of the town, and that's why they have the growth boundary line, and I'm a firm believer in it.
Now, you talk about, obviously, council. What type of support do you have right now on council for some of your issues?
I've had great support. All the things that I've done throughout the years, like I said, council has supported it, because it's for the citizens. It's not for me. It's for the citizens. It's and I think they understand that, and they want to see more things for their children, and not only but themselves as well. Whether it's adult sports or whether it's sports for children. I wanted to build a track. A skateboard park years ago, and I had a lot of resistance, and I went over and met with Seacoast Church.
Oh, yes.
And talked to the pastor there. And told him, I'm trying to build a skateboard park, and I think it would help the kids around here as well. And so he, how much money do you need? And I said, however much you give me. And he said, well, how about 5,000? And I said, well, thank you, sir. And he wrote the check. Well, that was the start of us being able to build a skateboard park. Now we have a skateboard park that's well lit, has the best of the best equipment, and we have 8 to 12 camps every summer. And those kids are using it like crazy. Now our police don't get called for kids skateboarding on private property. Kids have a place they can go skateboard. Sure. So I've come up with some crazy ideas in the past, but they turn out to be something that's beneficial to the community, and it really works for the community. And so that's my whole goal. I'm always trying to think of things I can do that's going to help the majority of the community. For instance, we got the park now on Rifle Range Road that really we don't have the money to develop yet. So what we're doing is we got a grant, and we're starting to build hike and biking trails through there, so that people that want to go hike and biking, off the road, will have a place to go, and they can be able to get good exercise there. The ponds out there, I've asked for them to be designated as bird sanctuaries, so that the species out there being protected. And we'll put signs out there saying what kind of birds are out there, and so I'm working on so many things that I think is going to be good for the community, and not all of them are expensive things. But I think it's something that every part of our community will be able to like and be able to take part of.
What ideas that you've heard from the community that council can actually support right now?
Well, they're supporting phase 3 of our park. Recently, like I told you earlier, we were able to, we have an issue over on Long Point Road where the trucks are just really so much that the citizens can't hardly get in and out their neighborhood. So what we've done is our transportation folks have put together where we could have a road on the right-hand side of the road on Long Point that does nothing but handle the trucks. So they stay on that road, and it allows the citizens to have more access, to the roads for them to get in and out of their neighborhood. And that was a $1.2 million tab. So I sat down with our recreation director, and we put our heads together to see if we could trim some of the things that we had at our phase 2 waterfront park out, so that we could help that situation there. And we came up with $1.2 million that we could trim out of our budget to go toward that. Now we have the full funding for that road, and that road will be built, which will help the citizens over in Long Point being able to get in and out of their neighborhood. So the key is to sit down and talk about issues. It's not my committee against this committee. We should all work together for the benefit of all of the citizens of the town, and it's very important to do that. And that's what we've been doing. That's how I work.
What part of Mount Pleasant has been neglected that you all can focus on right now?
I haven't seen any neglected, honestly, because when citizens come to us over issues, we focus on it. We've fixed drainage, down through the Steve Farm watershed, where that water comes from all over and just drains through there. So we've been able to do that on Whipple Road as well. When people come to us on issues, we respond. So I don't see any of them that's really lacking in anything, because our administrator is very good at taking these issues up and bringing them to council, telling us the priorities, and then we focus on those priorities. So when people have issues, they're welcome to come to us, and you're going to have people with a lot of issues that may not be in the majority, so you've got to really be careful that whenever you do something, it's the majority of the folks that want it. But we do that, and our administrator has done a fantastic job of being able to prioritize a lot of the different things, bring them to council, tell us, how much it's going to cost, whether we have funding, where we can get the funding, and then we concentrate on it. The Old Village has been one of them. We have been working with Old Village forever, since I was a kid, trying to get the drainage done on there. We did Coleman Boulevard, where we got the drainage. The drainage previously was going straight into Shem Creek, but now it doesn't. It goes in, to these holding areas before it goes into the creek. So you have much better water that's going into the creek. So that helps everybody who's using the creek. We built the walkway over the creeks. Right. We built the docks. So we try and do whatever we can for any part of the town. We built that track out at Park West. We got a double gym out there. We got a pool out there. Now we're doing the half marathon out there. Yes. And so, we try and look out for all the areas of the town and make sure that we're one solid group instead of, some broken up areas that seem to get things that other ones don't. We're not like that.
And what is the water quality right now in Shem Creek, as you know it?
Much better. Much better than what it is. But until we get, the folks off of the septic tanks.
Oh yes.
The septic tanks, the 3 Ps are what hurt you. You have people, you have pelicans, and you have, pet waste.
Right.
And that's what's really causing a lot of the issues there. And so I think until we can get those septic tanks out, we're going to continue to see some aspects of it, and it's nothing you can do about the pelicans, because they come in after the food that shrimp guys throw over. But it has gotten better, and we're continuing to work on that as well. I think with Coleman Boulevard, with what we did with Coleman Boulevard, that's going to help as well.
Yeah. And how do you hope you and the council will work when it comes to the budget?
Oh, good. I mean, I'll tell you what. If you look at our finance department, if you go into town hall, you will see a wall of plaques. I want to say 30-something years of awards that we get every year for our finance. And, our finance department does a fantastic job of that. Mount Pleasant has a great record for financing, and really we're very fortunate to have the staff that we have in our finance department. They do a fantastic job for us, and the town is the tops of the tops when it comes to that.
And how great is the accommodation tax and sales tax right now?
Well, right now it's good. I mean, it's helping us do what we need to do. I know the county was kind of stingy with the accommodations tax on us, but our administrator and our staff was smart enough to tuck away some money during this pandemic when we didn't have to lay anybody off. But the accommodations tax, we're trying to do more with that. In fact, I just met with our recreation director and the gentleman who is heading up lacrosse in Mount Pleasant,
right.
And we're going to be bringing in a big tournament with 40 to 60 teams, and what that's going to do, we'll do it in our Park West and Carolina Park facilities, and what that's going to do is generate a lot of revenue through accommodations tax, sales tax, and hospitality tax, which will go directly to the town.
Right.
And so, my goal is to try and test this out to see if we can start doing this, because a lot of municipalities do that and they make a lot of revenue out of it. We have facilities, we have opportunities to do it once in a while, and that generates a tremendous amount of money that goes to the town, which keeps us from having to raise taxes. If we can get money from alternative areas like that, and people want to come to Mount Pleasant.
Sure.
We're right next to the beach, we're right next to the city of Charleston. You got the country this way, you got saltwater marshes. I mean, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
People want to come here. So we ought to be able to, bring them in when the time is right, and allow them to stay in our hotels, to eat in our restaurants, and then to play their games, and then go home on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so it's a weekend event, and it just brings a lot of revenue to the town. And I think the local businesses really need this, especially now. They need this, and so we're going to monitor it and see how it goes. That's going to be in June, beginning of June.
Okay.
And we're going to monitor it and see how it goes. And I think the local businesses love it, because when you bring it in these many people, and one of the things, people will say, well, what if they stay in the city of Charleston and North Charleston don't stay here? We're going to require them to stay in Mount Pleasant. That's would be a requirement of the tournament. When the tournament, people that are running the tournament put it on and send out the flyers, they're going to require them to stay in Mount Pleasant. So maybe not all of them will, but overwhelming majority of them will, because they're going to want to do what the tournament coordinators are asking them to do.
Right.
And we have hotels that can handle it.
Yes.
And I'm just excited, and I want to see what happens here. And hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully they will come in, stay in. We'll see a nice shot in the arm for our local businesses and for the town and revenue-wise. And then we can go ahead and start planning these things out to where we do them where it's not a negative impact on our citizens. Well, it's really a positive impact, because they don't have to travel. Their kids who play can stay at home and play tournaments here. So, because a lot of them are traveling all over the place, it'd be nice for them to be able to stay at home and travel and play. So, I see, Denton's Park is putting on a lot of baseball games there, and the hotels are full around those areas. And this
Swinging's fine.
Yeah, but they're in Berkeley County. They're not in the town. So, although we do get sales tax, hospitality tax, and accommodations tax because they stay in our restaurants and all, but the key is they see the benefit of doing this, and so I want the town to be able to take part in some of that benefit.
And I know the finances is really good for the town of Mount Pleasant right now, and we just talked about obviously the improvements of the stormwater improvements system. But what does the general fund look like right now?
General fund looks great. General fund looks great, and like I said, we were able to give bonuses and things to our staff.
Sure.
So we've been able to do a lot of good stuff that a lot of municipalities haven't been. A lot of them are cutting. We haven't had to cut, and I attribute that to our administrator and to our finance department for sitting down and working it out and being able to protect the town, so that if something happened, which it did, but it could have been a hurricane, last year, it could have been anything, that we were prepared for it, and we were prepared for it, more than prepared for it. And so we are very fortunate to have such a great staff. And like I said, I got to give it to the administrator and the head of our finance department, because they've done a fantastic job, for the town.
And obviously you're wearing a mask to protect yourself, and I have my neck gaiter here, but I got to talk, so I can't have it on right now. But let me ask you this: what data are you all looking at right now when it comes to the mask ordinance in the town of Mount Pleasant?
Well, the mayor just did a proclamation, about it, about wearing it, and listen, nobody wants to get sick. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to make anybody else sick, and I don't want it to make anybody else's family sick, because they'll just take it home to their family. People need to be smart. You need to do what you think is right. If you feel like wearing that mask is right, please put the mask on. I think it's the best thing to do. We can get over this. We can. We just need to do the right thing. And I think if people wear the masks, I don't believe, and as you know, I voted against making it mandatory, because I think people are smart enough to know that if they wear the mask, it will help. And not in all cases. Some cases, being outside and things like that. I think you can not have to wear the mask, but I wear mine. When I'm around people, I wear it, because the last thing I want to do is infect somebody else or my family or myself. So the key is just to be responsible. Wear it when you feel like it's appropriate to wear it. Wear it whenever you're indoors somewhere and the rules call for it. And I think we're going to be fine. I think Mount Pleasant has had a low threshold of people getting the virus. They come out and they say Charleston County. Well, Charleston County is from Edisto all the way up to Allendale, so we don't really know where in Charleston County. But I think Mount Pleasant's done a really good job. We had the parade, and we took a lot of grief from the mayor. The mayor refused to come to the parade.
And holiday market.
Yeah, in the holiday market, yes. And as you know, I went and opened the holiday market up, and there was a lot of people there. Every one of them had their masks on. I went in the parade. We saw so many people, and the number one thing we heard from people was, thank you for having the parade. They were so excited about the parade. We were able to social distance the floats. We saw people social distance all along the parade route, and we haven't heard anything from the parade, that there was any negative issues. It worked well. And so the key is, we have to be, as a town, smart enough to sit down, talk it out, because before the parade, I had the police, fire, recreation, public services, the heads are there, sit down with me, and let's go over it. Can we have this parade safe? And after we finished talking, we decided, yes, we can. And so we did. And it worked perfect. I mean, you should have seen all these little kids. And it was so cute. You know, they just were waving, and they were so happy that they were able to get outside and see a parade. And the parents were happy too. Like I said, we just kept hearing time after time, thank you for having the parade. And, you know, it was so good. So the key is we have to research everything. You just can't say no until you research it, vet it real good, and then come up with an answer. Should we or shouldn't we? And then you make a decision, and then you move on.
Well, Councilman Gary Santos, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups. I'm sorry for all the camera issues.
Oh, no, we're good, man.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure around Quintin.
Yeah, and this one also we have to use my iPhone. And I hope to get the mayor on Quintin's Close-Ups again, because he needs to sit down and talk to me one-on-one about issues in town as well. So
absolutely.
I hope to have him on there. I don't have a problem with him.
Well, you know what? I think he should come on here, and I hope he does, yes.
Yes. We're looking forward to it.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.